is up, everybody? Welcome to the Seoulweaver Podcast. I am your host, Will Brooks, and as always, I am coming to you from right smack dab in the middle of Seoul with yet another episode of the show. Trying to get things having a little bit of a rough time today. It is Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. Hope you are, if you do celebrate this Thanksgiving, or if that's something that's part of your yearly repertoire or schedule, holiday schedule, if that's on the way to Christmas for you, I guess, and so to speak. Hope you are enjoying it. Hope you're just enjoying your traditions, eating yourself until food coma or getting that tryptophan coma going on. I am having a bit of a hard time today because the show is kind of falling together a little bit late, but I did promise myself that I would make this happen every Thursday, and of course I promised, by extension, I promised you all that I would make this happen every Thursday. But you're gonna see me obviously sidetracked a little bit as I get things set up here. In fact, you know what I should do? Because I actually am gonna open up with what we talked about last week. The show is going to be short today. I'm starting late. I meant to start at 8 o'clock. I was trying to get things lined up. I was out of the house all day today because Thursday, having a Thursday off, having any weekday off in Korea when most of the Korean population doesn't have the same day off is like a godsend, because you can actually get out and do something, because there is a fraction of the people out. It's still pretty busy, still kind of packed, but the numbers drop drastically on a weekday. So like if you wanted to go like to Lotte World or to Everland, or if you wanted to just go out and do something that is normally, or go to a place that is normally very crowded on the weekends, if you do that during the week, it's just a big difference, and the enjoyment level shoots up like 120,000%. So I had to get out today, and I want to do the same thing tomorrow, but Black Friday is probably going to have its own impact on that, so to speak. It's going to adversely impact as a whole. But so I was out today, and the plan was to get back here, get things together for the show. Oh, you're probably asking yourself, like, why didn't you just get things together yesterday? Not that kind of dude, man. Like I just procrastinate. It's what I do. It's in my nature to put things off, and I'm sorry you guys are catching the brunt of that right now. But let me go ahead and line up what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about, and this will buy me a little bit of time while I let this video run. Last week I talked about the North Korean soldier who defected from North Korea who defected to South Korea, and I even made a short video about talking about his defection and how I actually just clipped as the first clip of the show that I did, and I've been wanting to do little clips of the show because it's pretty lengthy, and I know that everybody can't sit and watch it for an hour, or no one can sit and watch it for an hour, according to my mother. But I'm just joking. Mom's doesn't even know I'm doing a show. So let me jump on here and edit this really quickly so you guys, or let me show you guys this really quickly so you can see what this is while I talk about it. You can watch this video while I talk, because I'm going to be talking and semi-editing or setting things up at the same time on my end. So let me get this lined up for you guys real quick. This is actually CCTV footage of the North Korean soldier defecting, and I'll let this play. It's only like 4 minutes long. I got a few things to say about it. I'll let this play while there's no audio, so I'll let it play while I kind of explain things. So one thing I said last week is that that the soldier, that he was a JSA soldier, and you can see right now, I think I was wrong in that assumption. He's not actually, he defected through the JSA, but that doesn't necessarily make him a JSA soldier. And you can kind of tell from here, from the CCTV footage, that if I don't know if you can see that, but you can see that Jeep driving down the road. So he's coming from another location. And so maybe I talked about how it's probably a very bad sign if JSA soldiers are if they're defecting. It's probably a sign of things going really bad in North Korea. That's not exactly the same now that I see this footage. But yeah, this guy just basically, he drove from wherever he was. You can see this is, again, CCTV footage. I'm guessing from the South Korean side. I don't think North Korea would cough up their CCTV footage. But honestly, judging by the way this went, North Korea either doesn't have CCTV, because he's driving by a North Korean military facility right there. This is Bridge 79, is it? That's him driving by that bridge at this speed is a big deal, and they could have saw him coming if they had CCTV in North Korea. If they do have it, they have it pointed to the south, obviously, I guess, and they weren't watching for people who defect through here. This only happened like 2 other times, if I can remember correctly. But yeah, so I mean, he's like driving through. He actually drives, gets out, and just runs for it, man. Like he drives his. This is him driving his Jeep through. Everybody's reacting. Everybody's kind of panicking. I guess that guy at the other building was radioing for help, or kind of giving people a heads up and letting them know that he's coming through there. And those baby blue buildings, like, I think that's the North Korean side of the JSA. And so he's covered. Like, if you see that little spot right there that he just drove by, that's where the North Koreans form up, and he's trying to take the Jeep all the way over, but he gets stuck here. That's when the North Koreans form up later after they're trying to figure out what to do, because this guy just runs across the demilitarized zone. So so here it goes. Here's them responding to when they figure out what's going on. You see everybody running, trying to figure out, like, wait, is he trying to go across? And so they're trying to stop him, because no telling what's going to happen to these guys. Those baby blue buildings, like, I've been there before. I know exactly where that is. They are just immediately on the other side of the border, and he's parked his truck, or his Jeep is stalled on the other side right here, and he's trying to get across. So and eventually he just gets out and breaks for it, and that's them. I mean, I don't know if you can see it, but that's them shooting, trying to stop him. And I mentioned last week that them at this point, I actually mentioned, like, I don't know if the rounds, and I was going to say, did they shoot rounds across the DMZ? But they actually, well, not the DMZ, but the MDL, the military demarcation line. So they actually shot rounds across the line. That soldier actually ran across, that you just saw there. And this is them forming up, trying to figure out, like, he just drove through there. That is North Korea right there. He's already across on the other side of the JSA, and I guess joint services, or joint service forces actually on the South Korean side went and apprehended him, or went and actually retrieved him, because he was shot 5 times. He was too hurt to get up and make it the rest of the way. Actually crawled on their bellies to get him. So I mean, we can stop this here, but yeah, that's pretty crazy, man. I mean, that's so ballsy. I don't know. I wonder what was going on with him. So yeah, just an update on him. He's in critical condition. The doctors say, you know, he'll recover, he'll live, and then he'll be interrogated, because I don't know what that interrogation is going to be like. It's like, bruh, so what happened? Like, you got to tell us what went on there. But he's also been treated for hepatitis B, parasitic worms, and tuberculosis. He got shot 5 times, once in the right hip, once in the left side of his back, once in the left armpit, once in the right shoulder, and once in the right knee. I mean, they hit him everywhere except for, they were trying to stop him. They used just what was going on. I hear they got, like, they put people on meth in North Korea to make sure I wonder, was he on anything? They didn't mention anything like that, but, like, to get First of all, to shoot at somebody 40 times and only hit them 5, it's a shocker until you see how they run with their weapons, and it's like, oh yeah, they probably weren't and I gotta imagine that's a very tension filled situation to be shooting at somebody that's running across a line that you can't shoot past. And I mean, you see how one of the guys, again, one of the soldiers actually ran past it, realized where he was, and then ran back, and just got behind cover because he just violated the armistice that has stopped that Korea hasn't been at war, that has kept Korea from fighting, North Korea and South Korea from fighting all this time. So it was pretty crazy. So yeah, they did violate it. General Brooks seems to have said that the armistice was threatened, but it's still intact. We still are at a ceasefire with North Korea. Pretty crazy. That's a pretty crazy incident right there, man. I'm curious to see what made this guy defect in such a way. In any case, that's what's going on there. We will definitely keep an eye. I'll definitely keep an eye on that. We'll hear about it, and there'll be updates, probably nonstop. In the spirit of Thanksgiving, I'm just gonna put this highlight out there because I'm tired of talking about Trump and North Korea. But Trump just named North Korea as a state sponsor of terrorism. So he put them back on that list that the United States has for states that actually help terrorists commit terrorist acts. I'd be curious to see Trump's definition of terrorism. It's probably just any act that terrifies people, probably. And since North Korea is pursuing nuclear capabilities and are actually making a lot of progress, I'm sure that's all he needed to do. That's all he needs in his eyes, and maybe in a lot of people's eyes, to put them on that list. I saw something about how this has to do with China and how the U.S. wants to handle China as an adversary, and how North Korea is just a pawn in that scheme, in that game. Yeah, probably. Just not a conversation I feel like having today, or not even I didn't even read this article, guys. I'll be honest with you, man. I'm so tired of hearing about Trump. I'm so tired of covering him. It just it's weighing on me, It's like I'm getting tired. Just gonna just talk about this really quick and then go on to the next topic. So let's just do that, and let me fix this first, and then let's just go on to the next topic. The won rate compared to the dollar, it's like at 10.96 right now. Let me give you a quick idea of why this is so weird to me. Like I came over in 2001. The won rate was like 1,500 or something like that. Like you would give somebody, and I'll put that in context in a minute. You would give somebody $1, and they would give you 1,500 won. Now the numbers are higher, but it's not like it's not like a 1-for-1, right? Like $1, like you can buy basically what you can buy with $1 with 1,000 won, and I guess that's kind of like the nomenclature. It's a little bit hard to explain because the rates are like they fluctuate so much that it's not really a 1-to-1 deal. What I mean is, like, if you buy like 1,000 of their won with $1, it doesn't mean that it has 1,000 times the value. Like you don't spend 1 won. You don't buy in Korea with 1 won what you buy with $1 in the U.S. Some people get confused with that. So yeah, man, like the won rate was like 1,500. That meant when you gave somebody $20, you basically got like $30 back, because that spending power was like still the same in Korea. And it was awesome, man. And like, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, the won rate, or the won to dollar rate, like the won rate dipped below like 1,000 for the first time in a very, very long time. If it had ever happened, that might have been the first time ever. It was at like 990 something or 992 or something like that, which meant like you gave somebody $1 and you got back less than $1. It was almost like trading for like yen or the British pound or something along those lines. And so the won now is getting back to that point. I think it was maybe 6 months ago. It was 12,000 or 1,200 won to a dollar, or right around. It would have fluctuated in between 11.50 or something like that. And now it's getting back down again. And they're saying it's because of foreign investments that are coming into Korea and like having the economy recover, and that's why it's becoming so strong against the dollar, and it's expected to like maintain for a little while. So I'm not sure. There's so many things that affect the rate of money exchange that I still don't understand. I still can't watch events happen and be like, oh, that's gonna make the won rate go up, or that's gonna make the won rate go down. I'm still unaware of the particulars of that. So this is going, like, I have a list of things that I say in this Prepisode, like in these Prepisodes, where I can go back, find somebody who actually has a little expertise in these fields, and come back or get a hold of them, get them on the show to kind of talk and explain give us a little bit of insight on what causes the things that that we just take for granted, that we just watch happen over and over again, and we kind of chalk it off as that's what the fairies want to happen this year, so that's what's happening. Fairies, yeah. So I don't know, the won rate changing. I also heard, and the reason I mentioned that I would want to get somebody on the show to talk about this is I also heard that in the Korean economy, they want the won to be weak against the dollar because that spurs investment in Korea. So, like as the won gets stronger to the dollar, U.S. investment goes down. Obviously, so because your money's not worth what it was previously. But as the won gets weaker to the dollar, foreign investment or U.S. investment in Korea increases. So I think that's one of the, I don't know if they still need it, and when they need investment in Korea, that's when they want the won to be weak against the dollar. And again, I'll get somebody on that can actually talk that a little bit more intelligently than I just rambled on. This is something that caught my attention that I would really want to talk about. Seoul's first unmanned electronic car hits the road, and that is an unmanned car driving down the streets of Gwanghwamun in downtown Seoul. I've never liked the idea of unmanned cars or unmanned vehicles, but here in Seoul, if you can get it's just the problem with unmanned vehicles in Seoul, the problem with driving in Seoul, period. If you've driven over here, it's tough to drive. The reason it's tough to drive is because there's a couple of reasons. People kind of do sporadic things, sporadic selfish things, and I'm Seoul drivers, period. I'm talking even me, after being here for so long, I do some selfish crap when I'm on the road here, because sometimes the infrastructure doesn't, if you know your turn is right here and you just missed it, it might be more feasible to back up on the expressway and go up here and make your turn, because you don't know when the next one's coming up. Sometimes you can miss it, and the next turn won't be for a super long time, and you're gonna be not just inconvenienced, but lost and miss your dates or XYZ, or making a right from the far left lane when people are trying to go behind you, and just kind of just this get in where you fit in mentality, and having to do stuff right now and save time, because you're gonna add so much time in retrospective in comparison. I guess I think you're gonna missing that turn adds a lot of time to your trip in some cases. And so I think it's terrible what Seoul drivers do. It's terrible how selfish they are. It's terrible how they'll go and block the intersection because they don't want to wait for the next cycle of the light, and they have people driving around them in the intersection. I don't do stuff like that, not on purpose, but it's just the way driving is here in Seoul, and sometimes you just have to conform just to kind of get around effectively. So that being said, there's a lot of unforeseen things. Seoul drivers do a lot of unforeseen things on the road. I don't think machine learning can is at the stage right now where they can compensate for it. Like if you see a guy that was trying to get over and make a right on like back, I don't know, 200 meters back, and you're like, I think that guy really wants to get over here and make a right, but he's just confused about whether he should do it, or maybe he's just gonna go up and do it like during this red light, or he's gonna. You kind of know how crazy people can do, how sporadic people can be on the road. So you're like just watching them and compensating for it. I'm sure machines can learn that eventually. I don't know if they can do it right now. I don't think an unmanned vehicle can compensate for the sporadic nature of Seoul drivers. It's pretty crazy. I'm shocked. They must not be trying it here in Seoul first. I didn't see that in the article whether they tried it down in other locations, but let's see how this goes. This will be interesting. I know the accidents that have been taking place with unmanned vehicles in the States seem to be the result of human error, and this will probably be exactly the same. But like if there was a way to get like every car on the road in Seoul to be unmanned or like controlled by an entity that's hooked into some hive mind somewhere that knows where you want to go and that's going to make sure you get over and make your turns, I would be game for it, man, because I think it would be a lot safer than having people on the roads now, because you wouldn't have those incidents that I just described like earlier. That wouldn't be the case. So I don't know, maybe this is on the way if this is on the way to that, I'm for it. The infrastructure is going to have to reflect it, though. I think they're going to have to change a lot of the infrastructure in Seoul, and it's changing, but it's just peculiar in some ways. On the same note, in other tech news or in other tech-related news, Seoul is actually they're actually going ahead with a push to obtain an electric bus fleet, which is good on so many different levels. And again, this is electric. When I first read this, I was like, wait. I immediately went to like unmanned when I thought about it. I was like, an unmanned bus? Are you out of your mind? No, not just electric. And so like, it won't be using fuel, won't be using gas and fossil fuels. It'll just be running on electricity. And it's kind of weird. It's not weird, but it's definitely the way we expect technology to be going, going green and starting to use electricity instead of fossil fuels. But and whether that's even really what's going on, whether that's really green in the long run is probably debatable, because that electricity is just coming from nuclear power plants somewhere. But these guys, what's going on is the city of Seoul, the government in Seoul, is actually subsidizing like the bus operators. And I guess those are the companies that actually operate the buses, and they're subsidizing them to purchase these buses. It's like 7,000. There's a fleet of 7,147 buses in Seoul. That's a lot of buses, and a lot of pollution, a lot of pollutants, and a lot of fuel that's being consumed. So they're actually, even though the previous model or the gas-powered buses were half the price, this is like double the price of those buses. But in the long run, the city is saying they're going to save money because they're not going to have to fuel up. Although, is electricity that much? I guess electricity is a lot cheaper. I don't really know. But they're also going to stop being a huge contributor to the particle dust here in Seoul. If you've lived in Seoul before, if you've seen pictures of Seoul, and you've seen it like with this film over it, like this really bad air quality that we get sometimes, particularly in the spring. And even we've had it even a few days here in the fall in the past few days, but just bad air quality. And they're saying that these are a small contributor. They're contributing to that air quality, or that reduction in air quality. So this helps Seoul become a more beautiful place. I hope so. I just got a huge lecture from my brother, not lecture, but like this huge in-depth explanation of how you have to drive hybrid cars and electric cars different than you drive gas-powered cars. I was like bored. Just like move on to any other topic, man. I'm so like, there's nothing that interests me. I hope he watches this, and I'll just act like, oh no, man, I didn't know you watched the show. I'm sorry. I don't really think that. I was just saying that for entertainment purposes. But if you want to stop, feel free to go right ahead. In entertainment news, I think this is insightful because it shows it does more than just show it does more than just show K-pop, like how greedy K-pop, the K-pop industry can be. But why Korean entertainment succumbs to the one China policy. It also shows the strength, maybe not the strength, but the positioning of China here in Asia. So China has a one China policy. If you didn't know, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and what is it? A couple of other areas in there. What is it? It actually says in here: Hong Kong, Taiwan, Macau, and I think it's just those three. Was it CJ Entertainment? They actually listed those locations as their own separate countries on their website, and so that sparked a lot of controversy because people in China were like, "Hey, that seems like Korea, or that seems like CJ Entertainment doesn't recognize the one China policy." I hope CJ Entertainment. That's not exactly what this one is it? It doesn't seem like they recognize. That entertainment agency doesn't seem to recognize the one China policy, and it started a lot of controversy, and it started a lot of debate, like a drop in sales, a drop in participation, and things like that. Because if your company, your entity doesn't accept that policy or doesn't recognize that policy, you just get crapped on in China. So the thing is, though, K-pop, once it started to go overseas, once it started to go international outside of Korea, China became like this huge market. And there's a lot of K-pop stars that are Taiwanese, or that are like parents are from Taiwan. And it's always weird when you ask someone from Taiwan, they say, "Oh, I'm Chinese," and you say, "Oh, really?" Like, yeah, well, and then it's like a disclaimer that comes after it. Well, my parents are Taiwanese, and Taiwan is part of China. And it would just be, I don't know, if you don't know anything about China's one China policy, you may get a little confused of what difference does it make. But it's a big deal in China, and companies actually, these entertainment entities actually took financial hits for not clearly stating that they support the one China policy. So I don't know, it's EGM Entertainment, JYP Entertainment, they're all starting to kind of come along to the point where they're making stronger statements to support a one China policy. The thing is, it's all about money, man. It's all about finances, and China's just a huge market when it comes to K-pop. I don't have the percentages written down here, but they are in an article. The article is linked in the description. They just make up such a significant percentage. They made up more of a higher percentage of votes for the last award show, or 2017 award show for K-pop, than what was made up in Korea. So like more Chinese got K-pop fever than Koreans have K-pop fever. So it all comes down to money, man. There's actually, I remember this incident in 2015. The article actually mentions, is it Suzu? I don't know. One of Twice's members. She's from Taiwan, and she waved a Taiwanese flag, and she had to go forth, and she's like 16 or something like that. Had to go forth and apologize because she didn't want it to. She had to say that she wasn't trying to make it look like Taiwan is its own independent country. And if you read into the Dalai Lama, and if you read into a lot of what goes on in those other countries, you don't want to be in China known for not supporting the one China policy, because the Chinese government will basically just come and get you, or you'll find yourself exiled like the Dalai Lama. So that's it. I'm what time check, man? I don't even know what time it is. I don't have my wallet. I'm gonna take a quick break, guys. In fact, it's gonna be almost a 30-second break. I'm just gonna go ahead, check time, come back, because I have to cut the show at 50 minutes today. So I will be right back once I get this all set up, and we'll jump into the second half where we get a little bit lighter and talk a little bit about social media. See you in a minute. Yes, we are back. Going to wrap this up really quickly here because, again, we are already to the point. It's already been 50 minutes. That don't even sound right. How could it have been that fast? I don't know how time starts just swifting through when I start doing the show, man. But I did want to touch bases with you guys on a few things. Well, I want to start with one thing that I never did come back and talk to you guys about last week, and that was this issue here: British men sentenced for graffiti on subway on Seoul trains. So I guess a couple of British brothers were over here. They tagged up. I got ready to talk about this last week, and I was like, you know what? I didn't read the article. I was like, I thought I had read over it, or I thought I had breezed through it, or I didn't take my notes. I don't know what happened last week, but I said I'd come back and cover this just because I think it's important that people get the end result of this. So basically, since they were tagging on this thing, on this train, they got 4 months in prison. And it's really, it's really interesting to read the comments on this article. Again, link in the description. It's interesting to read the comments on this article because depending on where people are from, that's either too strong or too lenient. The brothers did file an appeal because they felt it was too strong. Obviously, they're the ones that are going to go to jail. But the court actually said, since you got caught doing this once in Britain already, this punishment isn't too harsh. You're going to go to prison for 4 months, and then we'll release you and kick you out of here, and you can come back when maybe if we feel like letting you back into the country again later. So it's pretty interesting. Again, like in the comments, just depending on where you're from, it's like if there's people from like Singapore that are saying they should be flogged XYZ and done like this and then never allowed to come back because they're human trash. And then there's some people that are like, come on, man, they didn't hurt anybody. There's no damage, like no damage to life, limb, or eyesight. So how could you put them in jail? Just fine them for the damages and then send them on their way. And so I don't know. I'm from the U.S., man. Like tagging on something, it'll get you in a lot of trouble. But you'll have to do community service, or you'll have to pay a fine. You may, it's like they'll take you and use you to compensate for the wrong done. I mean, it's like the punishment has to fit the idea in America is the punishment has to fit the crime, and that's what I grew up believing. 4 months in prison doesn't fit the crime in my eyes. It just makes them, I don't know, it just makes them, I guess, I don't know. I mean, it makes them think about what they did, but I would rather take their time. I think community service is perfect for vandalism. Go around. Well, maybe it's different in the States because there's like graffiti, especially with graffiti. There's graffiti everywhere. So go around cleaning up graffiti is an actual punishment. It's not really the case here in Korea because it's not that much graffiti, so you'd have to do something else. But community service of like things that jobs that people don't want to do, like picking up refuse. Actually, that's a terrible example. People really want to do those jobs, but I don't know. You can find something for them to do to repay their debt to society. Someone mentioned how the train's not running would really throw things off because this train couldn't run. They had to paint over it or whatever. But no, like use them, man. Make it like everybody gains. Make it where the situation is a net positive, and they had to give back to the community more than what they took from it. That's what I think. I will also say that the reason I wanted to come back and talk about this is like there's so many instances of people committing crimes in foreign countries and when they don't know the punishment, it's a huge deal, man. Like, don't commit crimes in foreign country. Like, don't do anything like this. It's different if you didn't know something's illegal, but like, don't do something that's even illegal in your home country. Don't do that overseas. You just don't know what the country's laws are like, and you don't know how they punish people for doing what you do. It's a bad idea. Jumping on to the next one. This is pretty interesting. This man faces a 20 million won bill for throwing a soju glass and breaking a windshield of a $500 million car. So this guy was out drinking with his buddy in front of a pub or in front of a bar. He's drinking soju with his friend. Car pulls up, bumping loud music. He's like, "Oh, shake it on!" He like throws his soju bottle at the thing, cracks the other soju bottle, shatters, but then like the shards must scrape the glass or something like that, and he is being charged like $20,000 or like $18,000 to repair the windshield. When I saw it, I was like, man, that's what you get, man. Don't just tear other people's stuff up. I just like disregarded the loud music. And again, this was another comment section where the real interesting part comes out in the comments, because depending on where you're from, people are like, that's what that douchebag gets for having loud music or forcing his music down everybody's throat. And it's like, wait, what? Like, the idea that you can damage somebody's property because they're playing loud music is ridiculous where I come from. But it's people are from different places in the world, and it's kind of interesting. I heard in like in Europe, man, and if you're driving around in Germany and you're honking your horns, that's noise pollution. Like, you can get fined for that. And it's just interesting to see different things from different perspectives and different contexts and things like that. That being said, if I paid $500,000 for a car and somebody's like shattered my windshield, I can't be held responsible for what I would do after that, because I would just see red. It's a lot of money. I actually remember watching a YouTube video or a video on social media where this kid was skateboarding across the street, and this guy pulls up in his Ferrari or his Lamborghini or something like that, and they're cussing at the kid to get out the street, and the kid picks up his skateboard and just splatters like spiders, like the whole wind just slams it across the windshield. Super expensive car, and then takes off running. The dude jumps out of the car and goes off after him, and it's just like, man, I hope that kid gets away, not because what he did was right, but the dude that was chasing him looked like he was going to kill him. On to another interesting topic, and I think this is going to be the last one. It's probably going to be the last one for tonight. I'll see if I can get to the other one. South Korean students forced to date as desperate government attempts to lift the birth rate. So here's the deal. I've already talked about like the three things that young Korean adults are giving up. They're giving up home ownership, marriage, and having children. And this is happening in a community or in a country where the birth rate is ever dropping, which is crazy, because if you look around, there's babies everywhere. So it's kind of crazy to imagine that the birth rate is falling, but maybe that's here in Seoul, and out in these other locations, the birth rate is really dropping dramatically. I don't know. Maybe it's even dropping here in Seoul. But this is actually two colleges. I forgot the name of the colleges. Oh, I'm gonna have to go, guys. So this is two colleges that have gotten together. They've set up classes on love and dating, and they're actually forcing the students to date one another, or requiring the students to date one another as part of the course. And the reason I wanted to share this with you guys is because, for one, it shows you how how like how detrimental a low birth rate can be to a country, an economy, and things like that. And it's probably why you're going to see a large influx of immigration into Korea, because their population is just, in the next 10 years, is going to be, you're going to start seeing the effects of that. But also because this picture is so funny, because this couple looks like the actual polar opposite of what you see in like Korean drama, where it's just like they don't want to be there. They're like hugging each other, and they're just like, why do we have to do this? I just want to be at home playing video games, and I just want to be at home watching drama. It's kind of funny. I gotta go, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm gonna jump out of here. I have actually, I have a call set up, double booked the evening, and I thought I would get this started a lot sooner. I'm gonna do better at planning things out and not just wait till the last minute, so I don't have to have a rushed session like that, or a rushed episode like this, because I really do want to take my time and kind of just hang out and go back and forth in a chat eventually when people start watching live. And you can't do that this way. I mean, it's gonna be I don't know, something's got to change. I'll go ahead and put that, or get that hashed out on my end. Hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. Have a great weekend. If it's Black Friday where you are, I'm gonna get a new TV for Black Friday, and probably a bunch of other stuff that I'm not looking forward to spending my money on. But if it's Black Friday where you are, good luck. Be safe out there. If you're in the States, don't go out there and get in a fight with somebody over an Xbox and get stabbed or anything like that. And come back next week, next Thursday, for another episode of the Seoulweaver Webcast. I will see you then. Have a great weekend. Stay interlaced.